All right, so here we are for the January 2025 Mother Tree Meetup, focusing on a controlled burn, burning the brush. So to start off, I'd like us to do a group meditation together. I invite you to allow yourself to be brought to the heart of the Great Mother. Allow yourself to be brought to the heart of the Great Mother. That's what the circle is about. So, with your eyes gently closed or facing downward, just take a couple of cleansing breaths. Maybe very gently just find out where your hips are. Send your attention to your hips, very solid part of your body, and shift your weight left to right just to remind yourself that yes, there are hips down there and they can hold you. They are part of what connects you to the earth. Those nice, big, solid hips that you have. And then send your attention to your feet. And if it works for your body and your legs and stuff, you have both of your feet on the ground. So we go from finding the hips and letting some weight happen there to sending our attention, traveling down the legs to our feet. So let's deal with the actual feet. The toes, if you can pick them up and wiggle them a little bit and put them back down. If you can do that twice. Pick up the heels and put them back down. And then send your attention to the arches, to, yeah, the arches of your feet. And feel those arches connected to the earth, to the ground, the actual physical arch, as best as you can. And then we're going to breathe in. Just imagine that at the sole of your foot, where those arches are, that there is a vortex, an opening. And as you breathe in through that vortex, through that opening, you're breathing up earth energy all the way up through your legs, all the way up to the hips, and finally to the heart center, where you'll then exhale. So let's do that 3 times, following your own inner voice and inner guidance, moving from the vortex at the soles of the feet all the way up to the heart and exhaling from the heart. And the next time when you inhale and breathe that earth energy all the way up to your heart center, just stay with your attention on your heart. Breathe normally, but stay with your attention on your heart. And with the attention on your heart, allow yourself to imagine or pretend that you are being held to the heart of a wonderful, strong, loving grandmother figure, older mother figure, someone who is holding you to her breast. And with each inhale you take, you're absorbing her love. And with each exhale, she's receiving your love. With each inhale, just allowing yourself to receive without effort. What is so freely given. And with each exhale, without effort, giving back. Trusting that you're in this circuit of love. That is mutually reinforcing without effort. Receiving, giving, receiving, giving. All from the heart. Now imagine that you're opening your eyes a little and you're seeing at this breast, at this heart, there are many, many more. You're not the only one here. And there's room for everyone. Everyone who's breathing, receiving, and giving. Receiving and giving. And knowing that your heart is always here, always at this rest,
Mm.
receiving and giving, trusting that. Trusting that. We now send our attention down to the hips, feeling the solidity of our hips, the weight of us at the hips. And we're sending the attention down to the ankles, feeling some of the weight at our ankles. And then down to the feet, to the toes, to the balls of the feet, to the heels. And then back to the vortex, the arches. And from these arches now we just send simple roots down into the earth, connected, reinforced, moisturized, fed, stabilized. And to complete this circuit, we briefly turn our attention to the top of the head, to the crown of the head, acknowledging that our crowns are open, receiving exactly what we need. And with all of this online and connected, we are slowly allowing ourselves to return to being more physically present in this space and time, wiggling the fingers and the toes. If you're lying down, turn on your right side before sitting back up. And if you're sitting, just take your time with wiggling the fingers and the toes. Maybe rubbing the arms, the chest center. Just rub whatever your body needs, wherever you feel called to rub and squeeze. Yes. Recognizing the solidity of you right now, in addition to all this delicious energy. And when you're ready, very gently opening your eyes, you might want to open them into closed palms first, nice and slow. But we're just very gradually coming back into this space and this time. Mm. So thank you all for doing that, for meditation with me. And I think it's so important as we think about being Mother Tree members, that we remember we're being held to by our Earth Mama, by our cosmic mother, by the divine mother, by our grandmothers on our father's side or our mother's side. I call mine my mitochondria grandmother, because it's recently just kind of settling more and more in me that I have my grandmother's mitochondria, not my mother's. So I feel like I got to get to know this woman, because I'm carrying her mitochondria. I feel like I know my mother, who's also passed on very intimately, in an intimate way. But my grandmother is really, we kept our distance. I've kept my distance from her, I should say. So however that great mother manifested for you is clearly what it needs to be. And in the Mother Tree community, going forward, I want us to keep that context for everything that we do. We're in the season of winter, and in winter, the obvious principle, but the principle spoken about in traditional Chinese medicine and other places is all around us, is rest. So we're here about rest and receiving first, rooting, again, receiving. We're still in yin energy, but the context of receiving first, I feel like, is so important for us in the Mother Tree community to take through every season. And receiving first doesn't mean going out and getting something for yourself first. It actually is more like pausing to notice where you're already being given to. So sometimes I'm on this computer and people say, I see the sun on your face, Amanda. And then I go try to find it now, because now I'm receiving. It only takes 10 seconds. Oh my God, to receive the sun. But it puts me back in that relationship of receiving, back in that yin energy, that, feminine divine energy that we talk about, or that many of us know we need more of in this current context. So we need more of it, is what I'm trying to say, even though so many of us might be in female bodies, or maybe we're just very loving. Receiving first, taking the little moments to receive. It can be that simple. Using the bathroom before you start a call, receiving first. So the purpose of today's call, or the goal of today's call, is to receive, get ourselves in that receptive space and receive energy from the earth, and to restfully release, which is another yin thing. Restfully release grudges, regrets, resentments, anything that is blocking us from receiving love. One of the things that was said earlier, and that I've noticed, maybe you've noticed it too, is that when we have a grudge going against somebody, even if they do something kind of nice or loving, we can't really receive it. We talk ourselves out of it being nice and loving, and we make it manipulative. It's like, to receive love, you actually have to release. And I think that the more stuff that we're holding on to from 2024 against politicians, against people in our personal lives, against ourselves, it just is like, wow, limiting our capacity to receive love, just limiting our capacity to receive energy. And also, the more open we are to receiving love and remembering we're in that relationship with the Great Mother, I'm thinking about that as love consciousness. And I invite you, and I'm playing with this too, to have love consciousness be the center of your life. So if you think of yourself as opposed to linear, Here are my most important priorities, I used to do this. I used to think very linear. I was like, well, first it's my self-care, then my kids, and I had a husband then. And my husband, he did not like being third because, I told him he was third. Nobody wants to hear that. But anyway, but now I don't think about it like one, two, three. I think about it concentrically. So if I have love consciousness at the center, everybody's getting love consciousness who's also in my inner and outer circles. And if I have, my self-care right after love consciousness, then everybody's getting the benefit of me doing yoga, acupuncture, sleeping, and, in my world, after me comes the apprentices, past and present people in the apprenticeship program, because that's just how I've chosen to do it. That's where my energy is going. And those people, of course, are sharing their energy out in their circles. So I'm putting out this metaphor of concentric circles, like ripples, as a way to think about love consciousness is the center, and then everything is rippling out from it. And the more you're there, then the less we're in the consciousness of, am I enough? I'm not enough. Am I enough? I'm not enough. Oh, I'm not as good as she is. Oh my God, why do I even try this? This person does it so much better, which has been coming up a lot in my life, and different people I've been talking to in the Mother Tree community spontaneously telling me stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is all over us. But what came to me last night after in a breath work kind of journey was that question of, am I enough, or I'm not good enough? That's a reflection of a consciousness that you're in. So the answer isn't to give yourself evidence that you are good enough because you're still in the consciousness, but the answer is to shift out of the consciousness and to shift into love consciousness. So today, we're moving out of the deep stillness moon, which was our last full moon, was a deep stillness full moon, into the Lunar New Year, this new moon that's coming up on January 29th, and it will be in Aquarius, which is very exciting. So we have an opportunity to move from deep stillness to transitioning into spring energy, which is going to be the energy of, popping up, budding, spreading out a little bit. So just like on Earth, if you look at our plants and things, these things are not like one day this, one day that. I mean, there's work being done. Sometimes it's underground, we don't see it. And then it's like, oh, a crocus is up. But a lot happened underground before we got to the crocus. And that's the transition to spring. With this new moon and this 2 week period of the Lunar New Year, we have the opportunity to do some good underground preparation before planning. Preparation before planning. So it's like soil work. And if we do this soil work, if we burn the resentments and do other soil work, which is forgiveness work, it allows more space for us to receive the love and have the planning come from love consciousness rather than from, am I good enough? Or I got to do this consciousness. It's just a different place to create from. So the burning we're going to do is an adaptation of an ancestor practice that Jojapa and Saroma describes in her book, Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery, chapter 16, if you want to look at it specifically again. So it's a little bit of that, a combination of that, a teaching from Beth Weinstein, who has a podcast called Medicine for These Times, which is more like a psychedelic spiritual podcast, and what was given to me. Okay, so let's get into the controlled burn and what you're going to need. First of all, you're going to need your list, or your list plural. So here we are for our controlled burn. Make your list, which you've already done. So the second step is going to be to tear them up, and then you're going to burn them. And you can burn them in an earthen bowl, you can burn them in a fireplace, or if you need to go outside where you have a fire pit, but you're going to burn them. And to me, what's really important is to sing or pray or talk out loud as you burn. Don't let it be a head burn. I've done the ritual as Jojapa described it in her book before a few times. And the time where it worked the most powerfully was when I did it with an equinox and I drummed and I sang. So in this case, we're doing this burn today before the new moon. But then what we're going to do with it is then use the energy of the new moon to help us move this energy further out. Okay, so when you're talking or singing, include words of gratitude, words of appreciation for yourself, your guardian angel, ancestors, God, and ask for the willingness to forgive. You'll come back to the circle. There'll be some music playing, and I'm going to ask that you move to the music because we're physicalizing this through the body. And then I'm going to ask everybody to lie down with their legs up the wall to just receive. Just that'll be the way to kind of complete the ritual for today. Afterwards, there are some things I will tell you that you can do with those ashes on the new moon using the energy of the new moon. All right, so we've torn up our lists, we've burned them and said our prayers and sang our gratitude and moved our bodies to some beautiful music and then received some more by just putting our legs up against the wall, just to receive that grounding energy and to reverse the direction of gravity, to receive it to the upper part of our bodies. So we've done all that. And so now I just want to say briefly something about what to do with the ashes. My experience with these ashes is that it takes some time to transmute them. And here's how that can happen. You can immediately put them on your altar and leave them there through the full moon, which would be on February 12th. So you can allow your altar, your ancestors, to work on those ashes, those lists, those grudges, et cetera, et cetera. You can invite them to work on that for you on your behalf, to assist you, all of that, your divinity. And then after the 12th, if it feels right for you, remove them from your altar and put them in running water. So if there's a stream, ocean, brook, some kind of running water, and say goodbye to those ashes. If it feels like I don't want these ashes on my altar, for some reason it feels like it would be too much to have them ashes on your altar, that's okay. Don't put them on the altar if you feel something in you saying no, no, no. Then listen to yourself. And instead, ask yourself, well, would running water be the place to put these ashes right now? Are these ashes ready to go in the running water now? And if it's a yes, then using the new moon to release and let it go. Just let it go. The new moon is on Wednesday, January 29th. If you want to keep your ashes on your altar longer than the full moon, like I kept some ashes on my altar from the equinox for quite a while before I distributed them, use the water, because those were some really deeply rooted problems. So what really is important are you tuning into your heart, the heart of the Great Mother, your guidance as to what's, when those ashes are ready to be put on some water and moved on out.